Um, I'll be speaking on corrupted prophecies. Corrupted prophecies. Now, what are some of the features of prophecies? That means a prophecy that is from God. So, if you know how to recognize a prophecy that is not corrupt, then it will be easy for you to recognize a prophecy that is already corrupt. Are you there? So, if we talk about corrupted prophecies, so let's look at the characteristics of a prophecy that is not corrupt. So, from there, we'll be able to get the clear picture of what a corrupt prophecy means. Now, prophecy is not self centered, but instead it is God centered. Imagine somebody giving prophecy and the person says, "Oh, that said the Lord, that said the Lord. Uh, so person, I'm going to lift you, you're going to become great, but when you become great, don't forget the person that the Lord is using to minister to you now. Make sure you take care of him," and things like that. That prophecy, if you study it, it has a self-centered nature. So any prophecy that has a self-centered nature is already corrupt. So a true prophecy from God is not usually self-centered, it is God-centered. A true prophecy is not usually self-seeking, it is God-seeking. I hope you understand that. Number two, it does not contradict the visible will of God. That is, God will not ask you to divorce your wife in order to get his will. For instance, somebody said, "Thus said the Lord, thus said the Lord, leave your wife, the one you are married to, and I will show you my will." That prophecy is not pure, it's a corrupt prophecy. Why? Because God will not ask you to do such a thing. How will God ask you to leave your wife and go to another person who is supposed to be your will? That's that's unbelievable. So we have to be able to test the texture of certain, the texture of the content of certain prophecies, so that we can be able to know which one is of God and which one is not of God. But the fact that somebody is saying "Thus saith the Lord" does not mean that it is free from corruption. Another thing to notice: if you don't purge yourself of bitterness and envy, you will end up corrupting what God is doing through you. Because if you have bitterness and envy in your heart, and even when God chooses to speak through you, you will corrupt it. You will corrupt that flow. So if we check the content of the prophecy you are giving, we'll be able to see bitterness. We'll see anger. We'll see envy there. Somebody is giving prophecy and say, "Thus said the Lord, thus said the Lord, I'm the only one that is, you know, I'm the only one that is righteous here. Nobody else. It's only the person, the person talking, the person I'm using currently is the only one that is righteous in this congregation. Others are sinners, so you need to follow him," and things like that. That prophecy is due for a check, because it is not just flowing out of corruption, it is also self-centered. Many congregations, they they end their service in confusion because there are too many prophecies that are corrupted. Now, take for instance, a young sister is giving prophecy and is speaking to their pastor, who is a single. He said, "The vessel the Lord is using now is the will of God for you. Take care of her and don't let her go. Thus said the Lord." As that one ends, another one pick prophecy again. Another young sister said, "Don't mind her. I'm the one." The vessel the Lord is using currently now, currently is the will of God for you. Don't mind the first person talking. Now, who should we believe? That's to show that the source of that vessel is corrupt. When you have bitterness and envy in your heart, it will affect the prophecy you give, it will corrupt it. So because somebody, acted rude to you, you now come to the altar and begin to say, there are some people and they cannot make heaven. They are this, they are that. You begin to, instead of preaching the gospel, you are preaching your bitterness, you are preaching your envy. You left Christ because you want to justify your envy and bitterness. So you are no longer preaching the gospel, but you are preaching the corruption in your heart. So we must understand that as long as we desire to be a vessel that God can use, let's purge ourselves of every impurities so that we will not corrupt the move of God, so that we will not corrupt the flow of the Spirit. Because it is one thing for God to speak through you, and it is one thing for you to deliver what God is saying as He is saying it. I used to make a particular example. I remember I was speaking to some of my people and I made a particular illustration. This one is common to ministers. Now, the Lord can speak to a minister that there's somebody here in the next 3 days, I want to give the person a job, and that job will be a standard job. That's all the Lord said. But if the minister is corrupt, he will now come up and begin to say things like, well, there is somebody here, the Lord will give you a job in the next 3 days. But if you want that thing to become a reality, come out now with 500,000 naira. Now, if the person now borrows the money or gets it from whichever source and brings the money, that job will still come. Are you there? But the question is that what God asked the minister to deliver? Of course, no. The Lord did not add money, but the minister added money. So, but because the thing will happen, the testifier will not know that the minister had already corrupted. Are you there? So, even a corrupt prophecy can still gain fulfillment. Are you there? How to check a prophecy that is corrupt is not really in the fulfillment of the prophecy, but in the content and the nature of the vessel. Are you there? Because a corrupt prophecy can still be fulfilled. Because if you say, God said somebody will get a job, because God has said it, the person will still get the job. But you have added your own input by placing a money value on the fulfillment of that prophecy. Are you getting what I'm saying? So to check the incorruptibility of a prophecy, how correct and void of corruption a prophecy is, we will need to check the content, the vessel that is bringing that thing. Are you there? It is from the vessel that we will know whether it is corrupt or not, because even a corrupt prophecy can still gain fulfillment. I pray the Lord helps us in Jesus' name.